Hello there. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is the sequel to one of the most influential horror games of 2014, and it in itself is also one of the most influential horror games of 2014, as it released just 3 months after the first game. So in just 3 months, did Scott Cawthon manage to improve on the original formula and make the best game of its generation? The answer may surprise you, but I think it'll become very apparent throughout this video why Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is the best game ever made.
We're gonna have a party with the light and a mask that you keep on, but Foxy's in the hall, don't leave it on long.
Five Nights at Freddy's 2 starts out in basically the exact same way as the first game. However, straight away we can see why the 3 months of development time really allowed Scott Cawthon to improve on Five Nights at Freddy's 1, as when we open this game we are greeted with the glorious 4:3 aspect ratio, which, like I said in the last video, is very optimal for peak gaming. However, I do need to retract my praise for FNAF 1, as that game is actually not 4:3 and is 16:9, which is just a completely trash aspect ratio. Either way though, after pressing the new game button, we are greeted to a newspaper in the same fashion as the first game. However, this time, Chica has booed. When we get into the office, we see that Scott Cawthon has really improved the graphics and decided to make a genuinely very cool looking office. Scott Cawthon also decided that the only noise you're going to be listening to for an hour straight is this absolute masterpiece of an MP3 file. Either way though, moving on, the big wacky twist of FNAF 2 is that the doors from the first game are now gone, and your only method to survive most of the animatronics in FNAF 2 is to dress up as a femboy furry, which for most FNAF players is just a regular Tuesday. Another huge improvement in FNAF 2 is the camera system. FNAF 2's pizzeria is much bigger than the one in the first game, and because of that, there are way more cameras, leading to some very cool renders with the animatronics. These renders range from cool to spooky to devious. However, Scott Cawthon decided that even though there's way more cameras in FNAF 2 with some really nice renders, there should be less animatronics that required the use of the cameras. You see, in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, the cameras were used mainly for Foxy and Freddy, and could still provide useful in the early game for keeping track of the animatronics. However, in FNAF 2, for the entirety of all 6 nights, you only need the prize corner camera. The reason being, you need to keep Timu Slenderman from escaping his spooky death box of doom and demise by holding left click on a circle for some reason. Why couldn't the night guard just keep his finger on that button all night? I have no clue. Either way though, you need to do this, because if he gets out, then you're in some big old trouble, eh there, pal? Other than the puppet on the cameras and the mask, there are still some more mechanics in FNAF 2, that being the vents to your left and right and the huge hallway in front of you. Why are there 2 huge vents on each side of the office, I hear you asking? Well, it's clearly so that Toy Chica can get stuck. It's clearly so the night guard can get some fresh oxygen from another room in the building that has no ventilation from the outside world. The big hallway in front of you also makes complete sense, because why would you want a door protecting the room in the building with what seems to be thousands of dollars of monitor equipment from thieves? That just wouldn't make sense now, would it? Honestly, this game is just a complete masterpiece so far, and I haven't even spoke about the incredible gameplay of the first night. On night 3, you deal with the 3 main toy animatronics, that being Toy Fatty, Toy Annoying, and Toy Fitty, and also Slenderman. To defend against the 3 main toy animatronics, all you need to do is put on the furry suit when Chica or Bonnie are in the vents, or when Toy Freddy has risen you up in the hallway.
Hang up that computer call. Come over here and kiss me on my hot.
When you do defend against these animatronics, you get to see them moving around in real time, outside of jump scares, for the first time in the series, other than Foxy and FNAF 1. However, Scott Cawthon could only be asked to animate Toy Bonnie, as Toy Freddy just stands there picturing you as a donut, and Toy Chica doesn't even show up. However though, if you manage to flick your mouse up and down a bunch, and sometimes hold left click, then you have just managed to survive your first night of Freddy's 2. And you then get greeted by the amazing sight of Night 2, where one new mechanic is added to the night. On Night 2, you get to see your first Withered animatronic spring to life, and similar to FNAF 1, it's Foxy the Pirate. Foxy's mechanic is very engaging and includes the player absolutely mashing the control button on their keyboard every 30 seconds to use the hallway flashlight and keep him at bay. as Foxy has been sitting in his room playing League of Legends for 24 hours a day and has gained a chronic allergy to photosynthesis. Other than that new mechanic though, the game pretty much stays the same, unless you run into Mangle, but she literally works the exact same way as the other toy animatronics with the mask anyway, with the only difference being she plays some lovely, inspiring and relaxing music. Nights 3, 4 and 5 are all basically the exact same, besides the difficulty slider, so I'll just talk about the new mechanics of these nights all in one go. On nights 3, 4 and 5, the Withered animatronics come to life, and they are honestly still still to this day some of the best character design that have come out of this whole franchise. However, you wouldn't actually know that because you're too busy winding the damn music box to look at their genuinely extremely cool camera renders. Now you may be wondering what kind of new mechanics these animatronics add to the game. It must be something really cool and unique based on how cool they look, right? Nah, they literally work the exact same as the toy animatronics, they just look cooler and have cool office renders, which means this game is literally the exact same from nights 2 to 5. Oh yeah, Phone Guy, he's alive like type shit, because this game's a prequel, so that's cool. Anyway though, now that you've suffered Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and this awful video, what's your reward? Is it an improvement over the last game? No, it's just another PNG, but with less money this time. Same for Night 6 too, but you get some lore about the place closing down and then bringing back the FNAF 1 scary bears. Night 6, however, is actually quite cool in this game. So like, imagine Night 5, right? But Golden Freddy is an animatronic too, and you'll never guess what crazy mechanic they gave him. Yeah, it's the exact same mask mechanic, but sometimes he's a floating head in the hallway and plays the Batman logo screen for some reason.
Whoa, 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 what the fuck? What the fuck? No, no! No, I saw Golden Freddy! What? What the fuck? I didn't...
Oh yeah, also, I forgot to mention this earlier in the video because I'm dog shit at writing scripts for these videos, but all jokes aside, there's some genuinely very cool Easter eggs in this game that I think are worth mentioning. For starters, there's the death screen Easter eggs, quite similar to FNAF 1, where when you die, you get a cool render from a few set of animatronics. There's also the death minigames that literally started most of the lore for FNAF and showed us what the main killer sort of looks like in this franchise. On top of this, there's also a few very rare and very cool animatronics that can show up during gameplay, including Shadow Freddy and Bonnie, who will both crash the game if looked at for too long. And there's also an endoskeleton who just kind of chills in either of the vents or with the puppet, and he can actually body block other animatronics when he's in the vent, so he's kind of a top G for that. Either way though, this section of the video is way too positive. This game fucking sucks, and there's no pause button. It's 2014, Scott Cawthon. Why does the escape key close the damn game? And also, there's Balloon Boy. He smells. Jarvis, explode the child. So there we have it. That was my super awesome video and why I think Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the sequel, the prequel, the precut, is the best game ever made. If you liked today's video, then please like today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. FNAF 2 gets 5 toy chicas out of 5 toy chicas. Now normally I would end the video here after rating the game, but the video still isn't 8 minutes long and I really need money, so I'm just gonna sit here and make some funny noises. God damn it, it's still not 8 minutes long, and the outro is only 20 seconds long, so I've got to stall time for at least another 10 seconds. It's nice weather we're having at the minute. Got those winter vibes going. Anyway, yep.